An NH-90 helicopter has crashed on a frigate deck, with the resulting fire.
FLAIM Systems was formed out of originally a project started in 2014 with Deakin University in Victoria in Australia and the Royal Australian Navy under a Defence Innovation Hub project. It corresponded over 2 years, over 2 phases. FLAIM was commercialised originally in 2017 but went to market in 2019. We have around 26 people. We're a technology business, but we know how to deploy the technology. We're not the subject matter experts. All of our simulations, everything you see today has been created by our customers. And we're continuing to adapt the technology in line with the evolution of immersive learning, whether that's virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, which is where we are. Our fundamental beliefs are you can't fully replicate the feeling of live fire training in virtual reality or in mixed reality, but you can get close. And the advantages of getting close is you can build muscle memory. You can put somebody in a highly visceral digital learning experience where they're working in a team, coordinating around an incident, and within that team environment, people can feel what it's like, but have their decision-making calibrated against good and bad. So there was a couple of comments made earlier about digital outcomes. This is the advantage of the digital world as opposed to the observational physical world, where you can only see how somebody's behaving or how a team is behaving, but you don't know the actual decisions that they're making. We can tell whether somebody is crouched, where they're positioned, what choices they've made, what audio outputs they've said. So it's a fully integrated digital learning environment. What we're going to show today is an example of a build that we did with Marine Nationale France, which was a helideck fire, and the guys will go through that team-based training environment. What I also want to talk to anybody who's interested after this event this morning is the next phase of what FLAIM is developing. We believe it's the future of collective damage control training. It's a container-based training system that incorporates multiple teams responding integrated with the IPMS and the DC to a fire in a virtual digital twin ship that can be alongside, can be warside, can be anywhere. And to Commodore Ingham's earlier comments, the technology has moved from motion sickness, when I started I think 6-7 years ago, and inner ear, to a very high quality of fidelity right now. We're up to about 90 frame rates per second. And because we built this very visceral fire physics engine, it really triggers the environment so that people feel close enough to the actions they have to take. But because you can rotate teams through, they can obviously get calibrated against good and bad decisions, which gives you a training needs analysis platform to continue to improve and understand where you are. I mentioned some of the partners that we're currently working with there, BA, Serco, Navantia, Babcock and ST Engineering in Singapore. We're really excited about this opportunity. We're a small tech company, so we're currently looking for funding. Without further ado, I'll hand over to Ted and Paul, who'll talk through the scenario.
What he's going to do this morning is that we've got a mock scenario, which is an NH-90 helicopter has come to land on the deck of a ship. It's gone wrong and a fire's broken out, and Paul's going to deal with that fire. I've got 4 willing assessors and volunteers, so we've got to imagine that Paul has gone through all of the knowledge, learning and understanding in terms of dealing with this incident, as well as understanding the policy and the procedure.
An NH-90 helicopter has
So what happens is you get the initial message. So if you start to think about how you can develop your workforce in even just understanding what that message means, and starts to think through your decision-making, risk appetite and hazard perception, and then Paul will go into the scenario. What he's actually got is a heat vest, so he gets close to the fire, he'll get heat generation. We're going to monitor his air consumption. he's able to apply water, foam or dry powder, and he's also got haptic feedback on his hose reel. So everything you're seeing on the screen is what's happening in the headset. So as you can see, the helicopter's crashed, a fuel fire's broken out and it's coming to the hangar. So Paul, your first instruction is deal with the hangar fire to make sure that the ship is safe, please.
Roger, incident command to firefighting team, deal with the hangar fire.
Okay, now we have the ability to join different members into that same environment, so we can actually put up to 5 people in a headset into the same virtual environment right now. So I could be his team leader, or I could be his breathing apparatus partner, we can work together. I'm also going to move him over to foam, because it's a running fuel fire. And you can see there the command instruction is given.
Firefighting team, switching to foam, over.
So Paul's got a thermal image camera. We've set the software so the controller now gives him the ability to thermal scan. I think we're quite comfortable that he's dealt with the hangar fire initially, so I'd expect him to do some radio communications.
DA Team 1, now make our way out onto the flight deck, fire in hangar extinguished, over.
Roger, confirmed. Life risk removed from helicopter, life wash removed.
I've also got the ability, as he approaches the aircraft, because I'm interested in his hazard perception, his risk appetite.
DA Team 1, just Commander, we have had an explosion in the front part of the helicopter, over.
Roger, understood.
I've also got the ability, through trainer injects, available to me as the instructor, to turn on the fixed installations, and you'll see now that the fixed installations have kicked in to help him. Okay, so what I'm going to do there is I'm going to stop the scenario. I can pause it. So at any point, as we're going through the educational journey, we can pause the scenario. So if we think about using this technology as a coaching, mentoring capability, then all those experienced staff can take people through that journey. Or, of course, we can start to talk about our policies and procedures, our standard operating procedures, and understand whether he's actually conformed to them. And then the beauty of this across a workforce is recognising whether across a larger audience of firefighters they're actually performing in the same way. It also helps you identify weaknesses within your policies and procedures, or in fact identify learning areas for the organisation. And the things that we talk about before I do just stop it is, if you start to think about the contaminants involved in firefighting and how you need to think about the health and safety of your workforce, if we start to think about you being employers of choice, and attracting people because they know you use technology as part of that learning journey. So I'm going to go to the Commodore first, if you don't mind, and just give us a brief evaluation of Paul's performance and your understanding of the technology you've just seen and how it can work.
What we've just seen here from my perspective as a training deliverer, I can see real value in having a system like this available to me to be able to train my teams. And if I look at just what you've demonstrated here, the ability to, set that up in a very small area. I mean, that could be in any office on board, even in someone's cabin. For one of the ship's instructors to be able to take an individual through skills and drills, sets and rep, to get that muscle memory, which many people have talked about is so important. The ability to be able to do that on board at a time of your choosing is really valuable. And then when I look at the sort of short video that you gave, the type of stuff that's in the sort of mid-TRL level at the moment that you're looking to develop, that ISO container deployed capability, that's exactly what the future vision that I have, the maritime operational training environment, and that realistic training facility I was talking about, the idea of having what I would call FOSS in a box, so something that I can deploy and deliver training, to have that as a capability means that I can train not just an individual to get the skills and drills and muscle memory in place, but the team as well, in as realistic and visceral as technology will allow us to develop, because that's how you deliver effective training. So I think just from what we've seen here, the ability to see what is happening for the instructor and see what the student, for want of a better word, is doing, the decisions they're making, what they're seeing, and therefore what their decision process is, that's really valuable.